So in this module, we're going to discuss servant leadership, putting your team first and yourself second. So our objectives for this module is to find out how meeting others' needs can make you a more effective leader. So a good quote from Jim Moran is, "A good objective of leadership is to help those who are doing poorly to do well, and to help those who are doing well to do even better." So what is servant leadership? Robert K. Greenleaf first coined the phrase servant leadership in his 1970 essay, The Servant as a Leader. But let's remember that this has been used for a long, long time. That's just the time that they finally coined the term servant leadership. But it's a great approach, and it's been seen throughout history to be very effective. As a servant leader, you're a servant first. You focus on the needs of others, especially team members, before you consider your own. Servant leadership is not a leadership style or technique as such. We'll present some actual techniques. We think this really is more of a behavior that you adopt over the longer term. So it's just a different way to approach your thinking and mentality overall. To be a servant leader, you must acknowledge other people's perspectives. Give them the support they need to meet their work and personal goals. Involve them in decisions where appropriate, and build a sense of community within your team. So the results that we're looking for when we implement this type of behavioral approach as a servant leader is higher engagement, more trust, stronger relationships with team members, and increased innovation. So when thinking about the results of a servant leader, it's important to remember that servant leadership is about focusing on other people's needs, not necessarily their feelings. Don't avoid making unpopular decisions or giving team members negative feedback when this is needed. You are still the leader, but we want to think about this servant leader versus maybe some other leadership examples that you may have seen in the past. But you are still in charge, and it's not about making everyone happy all the time. There are 10 characteristics, and we'll go through each of these. But as listed, number 1 is listening. Number 2 is empathy. Number 3, healing. 4, awareness. 5, persuasion. 6, conceptualization. 7, foresight. 8 is stewardship. 9 is a commitment to the growth of people. And finally, 10, the building of community. So how do we become a servant leader? Once you've decided to prioritize other people's needs over your own in the long term, you can work on developing your skills in each area. Let's take a look at how we can do this. So our first item is listening. You'll serve people better when you make a deep commitment to listening intently to them and understanding what they're saying. So there's several things we can do to improve our listening skills. The first, give people your full attention. We have a lot of things to do, but if somebody's legitimately trying to come to you and talk about something, rest with that task and pay attention. So while doing that, taking notice of their body language. So this is making contact, full attention, avoid interrupting them before they finish speaking, and give feedback on what they say. So not just but maybe, okay, I understand that, that makes sense. Some kind of a thing that's relevant to what they've just tried to communicate to you. Our next item is empathy. Servant leaders should strive to understand other people's intentions and their perspectives. You can be more empathetic by putting aside your viewpoint temporarily, valuing others' perspectives, and approaching situations with an open mind. And working in this industry, we should all be experts at empathy and putting ourselves in other people's shoes. So being able to do this with your team members should just come second nature. Our next item is healing. This characteristic relates to the emotional health and wholeness of people and involves supporting them both physically and mentally. So when discussing healing, some of the things to consider are to make sure that your people have the knowledge, support, and resources they need to do their jobs effectively. Make sure that your people have a healthy workplace. Take steps to help them be happy and engaged in their roles. Next is self-awareness. Self-awareness is the ability to look at yourself, think deeply about your emotions and behavior, and consider how they affect the people around you and align with your values. We can become more self-aware by knowing our strengths and weaknesses, asking for other people's feedback on them, learn to manage our emotions, and consider how our actions and behaviors might affect others. I think this is really kind of an extension of empathy, being able to view ourselves through someone else's shoes and how they may perceive or take our behaviors, our actions, our conversations. The next item is persuasion. Servant leaders use persuasion rather than their authority to encourage people to take action. Certainly not just do it because I told you. It's not like mom and dad barking orders. Let's persuade and convince. Let's all be a team together completing these tasks and assignments. In persuasion, they also aim to build consensus in groups so that everyone supports decisions. Again, we're all on the same page. We're working together. We're doing this as a team. So there are many tools and models that you can use to be more persuasive. I have a little video clip coming up that we'll talk about some of those specific tools, but primarily being persuasive without damaging relationships or taking advantage of others. And you taking part in this particular training, you're a more veteran person, so obviously you should always build on your expert power. When people perceive you as an expert, they're more likely to listen to you when you want to persuade or inspire them. So this is helpful that you guys are already in the position and very knowledgeable about the inner workings and how things go. So you're already the expert, and just continuing with that kind of aura and that presentation of yourself will help you a lot when managing your team members.
This is Ari. Ari has an idea. He'd like to order pizza for dinner tonight, but there could be a problem. This is Ari's mom. She may or may not order the pizza. She's got the phone and the money. Hey Mom, can we order pizza tonight? I don't know. Ari knows that there must be some way to get his mom to agree with him and order that pizza. And he knows exactly what he'll do. He'll use persuasion. But how will Ari persuade his mom to order that pizza? Well, a long time ago in ancient Greece, a philosopher named Aristotle noticed that when people try to persuade each other, they use three main tactics. He called these tactics ethos, logos, and pathos. The first one, ethos, or ethical appeal, is about establishing your credibility with the audience. An author or speaker establishes credibility with the audience by being fair, being knowledgeable about the topic, being trustworthy, and being considerate of their thoughts and opinions. Let's look at how ethos or credibility helps Ari with his mom. Hey Mom, I know you're tired and so you probably don't want to cook, so I have an idea. Let's order some pizza. You can choose any kind of topping you want, and I have a coupon. Now Ari's mom is probably thinking, hey, that's a pretty fair request. Pizza's pretty easy to order and I haven't cooked anything yet. She's also thinking, you know, Ari knows a lot about pizza and the toppings. Maybe he can help me pick one. She's also thinking that, hey, Ari's not going to get out of doing his homework or his chores if I order the pizza, so he's definitely not trying to trick me. And she knows that Ari thought about her, that she is tired and she would probably like to take a night off from cooking, and it doesn't hurt that she can save a couple of bucks too. Because Ari established credibility or ethos with his mom, she's probably going to think, hey, pizza's not a bad idea. Logos, or logical appeals, have to do with being reasonable. When your idea or argument is reasonable, it means you put a lot of thought into it, and that there are good reasons to think the way you do, and that there's evidence to support what you say. Let's look at how logos, or logical appeal, helps Ari. Hey Mom, let's order some pizza tonight. It's got a lot of healthy stuff. In fact, I read somewhere that all the major food groups are in pizza. Now, Ari's mom is probably thinking that Ari is very thoughtful. He had some good reasons for me to order the pizza. And I especially like the food pyramid. That was really good evidence. Maybe I should order a pizza for dinner. The last kind of appeal, pathos, is an appeal to emotions. It's all about feelings. If you want someone to agree with you, you probably want them to have a positive feeling towards you. You usually can't convince anyone who's mad. So a speaker needs to make sure that the audience feels the same way she does, whether or not they agree with the actual topic. So that way, because they feel the same, they're more likely to agree with her later on. Look how it works for Ari. Mom, you know what I love? I love pizza. And you know why I love pizza? Because it makes me happy. And Ari's mom gets to thinking, hey, I like pizza too, and it makes me happy, and it would make Ari happy too. Maybe I should order pizza for dinner. You're probably thinking that ethos, logos, and pathos are supposed to be used separately. However, it's actually best whenever you use all three together. When you establish your credibility, have good reasons with evidence, and help the audience feel the same way you do, you're sure to make your case. Whether you're the speaker or the audience, it always helps to know how people get their ideas across. If you're the speaker or author, understanding the persuasive appeals gives you a toolbox on how to persuade people. Think of them as guidelines when it's your job to change people's minds. And if you're the audience, it's helpful to understand these persuasive appeals, so that way you'll know when someone is trying to use these tools on you. And it'll make one Greek philosopher pretty happy.
The next topic is conceptualization. This characteristic relates to your ability to dream great dreams, so that you look beyond day-to-day realities to the bigger picture. So steps for conceptualization: work through and develop a robust organizational strategy. Create mission and vision statements for your team. Make it clear how people's roles tie in with your team's long-term objectives. And develop long-term focus so that you stay motivated to achieve your more distant goals without getting distracted. Next is foresight. Foresight is when you can predict what's likely to happen in the future by learning from past experiences, identifying what's happening now, and understanding the consequences of your decisions. Valuable tools for foresight: you can use tools such as SWOT analysis to think about your current situation and environment and help you understand how the future could play out. And this ORAPAPA, RAPAPA checklist, is a good tool when you make a decision to learn from experience and make sure you have considered all the angles. So RAPAPA is just an acronym, and we'll discuss each one of those here in just a moment.
SWOT analysis is a tool that many businesses use as part of developing their strategies. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It helps organizations think about what they should and shouldn't be doing. You can use this framework on a personal level as well, to spot opportunities that you didn't know existed and to identify problems or circumstances that might have a negative effect on your career. To perform a personal SWOT analysis, first think about your strengths. What advantages do you have that others don't? What do other people say you do better than anyone else? What skills and experience do you have that make you unique? List as many of these as you can. Next, think about and list your weaknesses. What tasks do you avoid because you don't feel confident doing them? What are some of your negative work habits? For instance, are you often late to work or do you have a short temper? What do other people see as your weaknesses? Ask them. You might be surprised. Now it's time to identify and write down opportunities. Is there a way you could create an opportunity for yourself by taking advantage of one of your strengths or by eliminating one of your weaknesses? Also, look at your organization. Is something happening in the future that could be an opportunity for you? Next, you need to list the threats that might be standing in the way of your dreams and goals. What obstacles are you facing at work? What problems could your weaknesses cause if you don't address them? Are any of your colleagues competing with you for projects or a promotion? Finally, look at each of the 4 lists you created and decide what actions you're going to take to minimize threats and take best advantage of the opportunities open to you. Add these to your action program or to-do list. Now, read the article that accompanies this video and learn more ways to uncover strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
So the Arepa checklist, this phrase, it's an acronym that highlights 7 key things you should consider as part of making a significant decision. Arepa helps to give you a well-rounded view of your decision because it encourages you to look at it from various perspectives, and it gives people involved in making a group decision permission to voice their opinions even when their views differ from that of the wider group. So it's just a checklist and helpful tool to help us with several of the items we've talked about, just mainly being able to view things from multiple angles, multiple perspectives, and be able to be empathetic, put yourself in the shoes of your team members, and listen to them, etc. So I've tried to pronounce this correctly here. We can finally see what it actually stands for. So the O is for opportunities, R for risks, A for alternatives and improvements, P for past experience, A for analysis, P for people, the final A for alignment and ethics. Next, we're going to discuss stewardship. Stewardship is about taking responsibility for the actions and performance of your team and being accountable for the role team members play in your organization. So whether you're a formal leader or not, you have a responsibility for the things that happen in your company. So you take on that responsibility of the people underneath you, and their actions sort of by proxy become your actions. Well, stewardship. So take time to think about your own values as well as those of Village Green so that you know what you will and won't stand for. We define our values a lot, and we've given you guys that in the handbook and in other places, but also your own personal ones, and kind of know where to draw the line in the sand. Obviously, some behavior is completely unacceptable, but we're trying to push the line to promoting extra care and extra giving. And then obviously lead by example by demonstrating the values and behaviors that you want to see in others, and have the confidence to stand up to people when they act in a way that isn't aligned with them. And that's maybe one of the biggest things, even in this module, just lead by example. You've been here, you've been doing it, you're being trained in this way to be promoted up to a leadership type position and role, and training role. Been here, you've done it, lead by example. Show all of our people underneath you, our new folks, how to do it and how to do it right. Next, we're going to talk about commitment to the growth of people. So servant leaders are committed to the personal and professional development of everyone on their team. To develop your people, make sure that you use the training needs assessment to understand their developmental needs and give them the skills they need to do their jobs effectively. Find out what their personal goals are and see if you can give them projects or additional responsibilities that will help them achieve these. We've got some of our folks trying to be nurses or social workers or other things. Find out about that, and we're all happy and eager to encourage everybody to pursue their career goals, and hopefully Village Green can be a a great place to work and a great place to pursue and achieve all of our career goals. So the last characteristic has to do with building a sense of community. We can do this by providing opportunities for people to interact with one another. We're pretty small. Everybody interacts and talks, but I mean between shifts with the different levels of hierarchy, and just keeping that conversation open and keeping everybody talking to each other and interacting. We want to encourage people to take responsibility for their work and remind them how what they do contributes to the success and the overall objectives of Village Green. And you guys are the primary front lines, and it all boils down to the residents and the care that the residents are getting. And so it all comes down to the work of yourselves and your team members. The success of Village Green hinges entirely on you guys' work, and so reiterating that to your team is very important. Let's discuss a couple key points from our module. So you are a servant leader when you focus on the needs of others before you consider your own. It's a longer-term approach to leadership rather than a technique that you can adopt in specific situations. And you can use this approach to leadership with other leadership styles such as transformational leadership, which we'll have a whole nother module discussing just that one. But yep. So let's review the 10 characteristics that we've gone over. Number 1 is listening. Number 2 is empathy. Number 3 is healing. 4 is awareness. 5 is persuasion. 6, conceptualization. 7, foresight. 8, stewardship. 9, commitment to the growth of people. And finally 10, building community. All right, in closing, servant leaders are likely to have more engaged employees and enjoy better relationships with team members than leaders who don't put the interests of others before their own. So in doing this module, you guys are being placed in a leadership or training type role, and lots of companies utilize these types of training materials, this whole concept of servant leadership, and it's used in different areas, and it's been very proven to be successful. You can even use this dealing with your kids. It works in a whole plethora of different capacities, but we really want to promote this. We want to encourage this. We're working together as a team. We're a family. We're a close-knit group, and if you can take those people who are in positions below you and really put their needs before you and work in this group context, show that type of empathy, hear them, listen to them, this will make this machine run very well. And we're happy that you have moved into this role, and we're eager to see you guys implementing some of these strategies and some of these methods. So thank you for doing this with us, and we wish you well.